As Congress gears up for another crucial week in the healthcare debate, the pharmaceutical industry has made a new commitment to the government to rein in drug costs. Bloomberg's Peter Cook is down in Washington with the latest on this proposal. Peter?
Well, Eric, drug makers have agreed to spend as much as $80 billion over 10 years to help elderly Americans afford their medicines. This is specifically an effort to help senior citizens participating in Medicare's drug benefit program known as Part D. President Obama is calling it a turning point in the health care debate. It comes as the administration's health care push is hitting some potholes here in Washington, mainly over costs and the role of the government. One Senate Democrat on Sunday raising doubts about a health care deal.
To be candid with you, I don't know that he has the votes right now. I think there's a lot of concern in the Democratic caucus.
Now, healthcare-related stocks rallied last week as prospects for a healthcare overhaul seem to take somewhat of a hit. And this, again, is another big week here in Washington. 3 House committees will consider a plan drafted by Democrats, while 2 separate Senate panels try to complete work on their own plans before the July 4th recess. And, Eric, the president hosts a town hall meeting on healthcare at the White House this week as well.
Peter, speaking of the president and his push for health care, remind us who is leading that charge.
Well, there are a lot of people involved at the White House in some way, but we'll start, of course, with the president. He's the lead on this. But here are a few of the key players and why they're so important to this debate. His top health care official, of course, Kathleen Sebelius, the Health and Human Services Secretary. She worked as the Kansas Insurance Commissioner before taking over as Kansas governor. Her state perspective is a bonus inside the Beltway. The lower profile half of the White House health care team is Nancy Ann DeParle. She's a former Medicare and Medicaid administrator who herself has experience in the private sector as an advisor to J.P. Morgan. She's been involved in a lot of the direct talks with interest groups. She met, for example, with doctors last Thursday. White House Budget Director Peter Orszag, another major player. It's been his job to make the case that health care reform will help solve the nation's budget problems, not make them worse. And then there are the Emanuel brothers. Everyone knows White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel, the former Illinois congressman whose visits to the House gym and dinners with his old colleagues have helped get health care to this point this fast. Less well known is his brother Ezekiel. He's a doctor and bioethicist who has written his own book on health care reform. He's now an advisor to Peter Orszag. Eric, some of the main players at the White House on this health care issue.
All right, Peter.